Hello there. Welcome back to another episode of Star Wars. Watching all the Star Wars we can get our hands on. I'm Eli.
I'm Jacob.
And we did it! Star Wars in a Galaxy Season 23, covering Star Wars Rebels Season 3, is at an end. We are recording the final 2 episodes of Season 23 today in one sitting. So although it'll be a week will go by in between In a Galaxy 193 and 194, but peek behind the curtain here, they're being recorded on the same day. We're wrapping this up. We're wrapping 2025 of Star Wars in a Galaxy, our 5th broadcast year, up with a bang. The end of Star Wars Rebels Season 3, the penultimate season of this show. Jacob, we got 0 Hour today. Anything you want to say before I begin my summary? We talk about 0 Hour.
As the kids say, this is peak. It's so peak.
We'll talk about it in our retrospective episode, but yeah, I think it's pretty close to it. Yeah. In 0 Hour, we begin the episode on Lothal as Grand Admiral Thrawn arrives, flanked by Death Troopers. Kallus is looking on and spying on Thrawn and the other Imperials through a hacked mouse droid. In his office, Thrawn tells Governor Price, Admiral Konstantine, and a hologram of Grand Moff Tarkin that he believes the rebels are planning to attack the Imperial TIE Defender factory on Lothal, with his spies reporting that General Jan Dodonna's fleet is en route to reinforce Phoenix Cell at their base. Tarkin orders Thrawn to move in and capture the rebel leaders. Meanwhile, on Atollon, Kanan and Ezra have a heartwarming conversation, reflecting their growth throughout the season, when General Dodonna's fleet arrives to reinforce the growing rebel fleet on the planet. Back on Lothal, Kallus goes to Ezra's old tower to try and send a fulcrum message to the rebels, warning them of Thrawn's impending attack. But the Grand Admiral intercepts Kallus, only letting a small fragment of the message be transmitted, then engages in a fistfight with a now rebel operative. After his Death Trooper guard restrains Kallus, Thrawn reveals that he has located the rebel base due to a multitude of corroborating factors and orders Admiral Konstantine to deploy the 7th Fleet to Atollon. On Atollon, the rebels receive the fragment of Kallus's fulcrum transmission, but can only speculate for moments as the 7th Fleet arrives to finish them once and for all. Some rebel ships attempt to jump to hyperspace, but Imperial interdictor cruisers that arrive with the fleet pull them back out. Thrawn then hollows the rebel leaders, promising them the humiliation of their defeat by his hand. With the 7th Fleet closing in on Atollon, Hera, Sato, and Dodonna formulate a plan to create an opening in the Imperial fleet so that one ship can slip through and contact the greater Rebel Alliance for further assistance. Hera initially assigns Kanan and Ezra to this, but Kanan decides to remain on Atollon to try and reach out to an old friend for help. The rebel fleet launches against Imperial forces, with Thrawn using a restrained approach so far in launching an attack despite overwhelmingly superior firepower, something that frustrates Konstantine. Meanwhile, planetside, Kanan goes to the Bendu to ask him for help against the Empire. However, the Bendu is far more annoyed about a large-scale battle happening so close to his dwelling. He tells Kanan that he is, quote, the one in the middle and takes no sides, implying that Kanan should just fuck off. Back in space, as the rebels are taking sustained fire and cruiser losses against the Empire, Commander Sato vows to find an opening to get Ezra's ship through. He finds it when Konstantine has had enough of Thrawn's restraint, defying the Grand Admiral's orders and moving his interdictor cruiser to intercept the rebels. Sato charges the largely evacuated Phoenix Nest directly into Konstantine's cruiser, killing both men and the interdictor's crew, and creating an opening for Ezra and Chopper to escape on the late Maul's Gauntlet starfighter. Meanwhile, back on Atollon, the Bendu resolutely refuses to help Kanan, disappearing into a violent storm. While in hyperspace, Ezra contacts Mon Mothma, who refuses to send further Alliance aid, telling Ezra that it's simply too risky for the Alliance while they're still building up their forces to intervene. Ezra resolves to find another source of help, heading to Sabine and her family on Cronest. Back on Atollon, the battle moves to the ground, as Grand Admiral Thrawn resolves to finish the job. He orders the 7th Fleet to rain fire down on Chopper Base, nearly destroying the rebel shield generator, but leaving it intact to lure the rebels into a false sense of security. Meanwhile, Ezra arrives on Cronest and tries to convince Clan Ren, who are preparing for a Mandalorian civil war, to help to send forces to help the rebels. After a lengthy discussion and eventual advocacy from Sabine, the Countess Ursa Wren agrees to send a small number of ships to help the rebels against the Imperial assault. Meanwhile, on Thrawn's flagship, the Chimera, the Grand Admiral places Governor Price in charge of the fleet while he leads the ground assault on the rebels. On the ground, Zeb and Captain Rex are able to destroy an AT-DP walker with explosives, but are unable to do anything to harm the AT-AT walkers, exposing the rebels' meager defenses to the Grand Admiral. The rebels try to call in starfighters for air support, but they are met by the Imperials' own in the skies of Atollon. In the space near Atollon, the small Mandalorian squadron led by Ezra Bridger, Fen Rao, and Sabine Wren launch an attack on the 7th Fleet, with Ezra and Sabine leading Mandalorian rocket troops in a space assault on the remaining interdictor cruiser. Ezra manages to calm Hera, informing her of the help he has brought. As Grand Admiral Thrawn closes in on the rebels in Chopper Base, a fierce storm rages on Atollon. The Bendu, enraged by the battle that takes place so close to his precious home, rains down lightning, brutally destroying Imperial and Rebel forces alike. One of Thrawn's AT-ATs manages to land a hit on the storm, sending the Bendu falling out of the clouds. Back in space, Ezra and Sabine, along with the Mandalorian forces, manage to destroy the remaining interdictor cruiser. On the Chimera, Price is furious with this turn of events. As a captive Kallus mocks her, Price orders Imperial troops to airlock him. Kallus quickly escapes their custody and ejects himself from the flagship in an escape pod. The rebels take their chance and make an escape from the Imperial fleet. The Ghost intercepts Kallus's escape pod, and the double agent is finally welcomed into the Rebel Alliance. On Atollon, Thrawn and his troops surround the Bendu as they still struggle to understand the true nature of the creature. Before Thrawn shoots him, the Bendu warns the Grand Admiral that he sees his defeat, like many arms surrounding him in a cold embrace. In space, the rebels regroup after staggering losses in the Battle of Atollon as future intentions are made clear. Sabine to go back to her family, Sabine to go back to help her family fight in the coming Mandalorian Civil War, and the remaining rebels to the rebel home base on Yavin 4. Kanan and Ezra resolve to remain hopeful in spite of their defeat, as there is a future ahead where they're all free from the Empire's tyranny as we close out this season.
And what a season it was. Oh,
yes,
my
that's
goodness.
next episode. Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Yes, finale we have.
Yeah, it's time to end this season. We start back on Lothal. It feels fitting that we start this finale back on Lothal.
Absolutely.
Only season 2, I believe. Yeah, only season 2, I think, is not on Lothal. Yeah, season 2 is just Malachor and then Atollon at the very, very end. But 1, 3, and 4 all depict Lothal in some way. With 4 the only one, I believe, that has Lothal as the main location. But still, starting back on Lothal, Thrawn has the Death Troopers, which is a noted. I remember that in the mid-season trailer being a noted. Oh, the stakes are rising.
Yeah,
Death Troopers around this time were just introduced. Death Troopers were just introduced in Rogue One. We had the rumors that were never really confirmed in or out of universe that Death Troopers are lobotomized.
Yeah,
I feel like there is always
there's something different about them.
I feel like it's a rumor in universe, and we don't know for sure out of universe. But it's yeah, they're probably lobotomized. So that's fucking creepy. Yeah. Thrawn, the cold open of this episode is really just about Thrawn setting the stakes and the topic of what this episode is going to be about. The rebels are not going to get their chance to attack Lothal. We'll do that next season and in a vastly different manner. But this is not a all hands on deck, we're going to charge at the enemy. No, this is all hands on deck. Holy shit, what the fuck is going on? They're all attacking us moment. It really makes the intentions clear that Thrawn is going to one-up the rebels. Especially because there's this little line, I love this line, where Thrawn says, "What I'm about to say cannot fall into the rebels' hands." Which is weird because he knows he has a spy. I think Thrawn said that on purpose. I think Thrawn said that on purpose to make Kallus think think he has something juicy
I mean, 100%. I mean, since from an inside man, through
through
Imperial
Imperial
Eyes, I
Eyes.
think confirmed with himself that it's
Yeah,
Kallus. Like he knows, he
yeah,
feels like it's Kallus. So yeah, 100% him just playing the chess pieces so that he can have that insane doorway reveal moment, which is, as far as things for Thrawn go, that's pretty petty. Like he didn't have to do that. That was not the smart thing to do. But I guess he really took it personal when Kallus defected. I guess when he found out.
yeah. No, absolutely. But he's fulfilling his promise to turn Kallus from a spy to an asset, and he's doing it. He's doing it wonderfully. He communicates with Tarkin, and as I mentioned previously, he says, "Yeah, go ahead, attack them, but take prisoners. I want them alive. Don't kill them. At least the leadership," he's saying, which I think Thrawn has some strategic disagreements with, but he clearly respects Tarkin, so he's gonna operate as much as he can by Tarkin's orders.
Yeah.
But then, of course, we have the line that leads into our title card. Everything leading up to this moment has been rehearsal. The real performance is about to begin. Which I love because we often think of Thrawn's fascination with art to be limited to just visual art. But as we learn here and in Thrawn Treason, Thrawn is an appreciator of all of the art forms. He analyzes symphonic form in Treason to take down a treasonous moth and uses either a musical or a theatric based metaphor in this episode. Actually, I wrote that before, like as I was watching this. I think later in the episode, this metaphor gets expanded to be specifically theatric. But I think it's really interesting to have him have a wide range of artistic knowledge. It gives him a larger breadth for him to use in future stories. So we don't always have to look at painting and sculptures. We can look at music. We can look at theater. We can look at like any art form Thrawn can use to analyze the situation with his enemies. I think that's truly just fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It just shows, I mean, the extent of his sort of the lengths that he goes and the type of
Yeah.
detective and scholar that he is that makes him the threat to the rebellion. I mean, to be honest, this cold open, I think one of the things that really makes it stellar is that, man, he isn't gloaty really, or mustache twirlingly evil, or in his mannerisms super super scary. I mean, obviously he is scary because of what he's capable of and what he represents. But for most of this episode, he seems to be the only Imperial to truly understand that the Empire could lose, that he could lose. And we see how utterly determined he is to make sure that the rebels don't win. The urgency, the determination that that provides him with. That's to me, I think the cold open kind of puts that on full display. That scariness.
I
You
have to
know, it's
disagree
not.
with you a little bit. I'm not saying he's completely in it for the glory, and I think obviously we'll see there are certain other Imperial officers who are more in the glory for mostly political purposes than he is. But like the speech he gives to Hera and Sato before he launches the invasion is so clearly him taking a victory lap.
It
Um,
is, but it's also psychological warfare. It's also him trying to come in with the maximum intimidation and trying to
yeah,
put them on the back foot and make them scared. So that 100% is him trying to take satisfaction. That's also him doing something purposeful. So it's a bit of both. And the later in the episode, like I think the orbital bombardment is kind of where we start to see really that what you mentioned and the orbital bombardment are where we see his ego, or I guess the emotional side of him, I kind
yeah,
of have a little bit of
yeah.
a more of a presence, I think.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later, but yeah, no, I think there's a good distinction to make there. Yeah, something I noticed for the first time when watching this episode was that the Kiners play an interpolation of the opening music from The Empire Strikes Back at Atollon when we cut
Really?
back.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
which right before the invasion starts. So they're priming us musically to expect the invasion, which is horrifying, but also works incredibly effectively.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I think it's great because or I don't wanna jump ahead too much. You finish your thought on that
No, no,
because
no, no. That was it. I go ahead, go right
oh,
ahead.
yeah. I mean, I think the s in the kind of the opening sequence after the beginning sequence of this episode or the first few minutes after the cold open, swapping back and forth during the cold open, actually, swapping back and forth in both between Kallus, the the dark, quiet, silent, scurrying around, hiding in the shadows, desperation to warn the rebels that Kallus is experiencing, and then contrasting that with the swelling of the triumphant music and the rebels' excitement and Ezra's excitement and swapping back and forth between those two things is so it's so sort of jarring and it puts you in such a as a viewer such a attentive state to this episode. You're like, oh my gosh, like these like it really just underscores the level of what's about to be dropped on the rebels by Thrawn, which I love.
Yeah, no, this episode does a great job of building up this intensity to it. But before we can get to a lot of that intensity, we have this lovely little chat with Kanan and Ezra. Hera always saw something special in you, and Hera always saw something special in you, and so did I. At times, I was afraid that I couldn't teach you everything you need to know, but you did. I've learned so much, and so have I. We all have. In fact, sometimes I wonder if I have anything left to teach you. No, that can't be true. My own Jedi training was limited. I don't mean about the Force. I mean about life, about being a good person. That's what you've taught me. It's such a well-written, tender conversation. We're
Uh, it's
beginning
so
to
beautiful.
careen. Beginning to careen towards the tragic inflection point where one of these guys is going to die, and the other will be lost in a foreign galaxy for just short of a decade. And very clearly, we're wrapping up their emotional arcs, not for just for this season, but this show. I really appreciate, as you're saying, that we get this moment at the very beginning of this episode to show how far both of them have come, even from the beginning of this season, let alone from episode 1 of the show. We also yet again come back to that very George Dave motif of the student teaches the master as much as the master teaches the student, which I quite enjoy. If anything, this is one of my biggest complaints about Rebels, honestly, and I think this is a really great complaint to have, which is it makes me wish this speech makes me wish the Rebels was a 5-season show, having or at least that season 4 was longer,
Yeah.
like having more time to even further develop these relationships between these characters before the end would have been great. I will say that, of course, we have Ahsoka to continue a lot of these characters' journeys, which is incredible. I never thought we'd have that opportunity, but for like these characters in this story, in this show, I do wish we had even like 4 or 5 more episodes in season 4.
I absolutely agree. I mean, yeah, this conversation just encapsulates the growth. I mean, you said it perfectly that Kanan and Ezra have undergone, and it is sort of on the rewatch a little bit heartbreaking knowing how fast it's all going to end. And it really just feels like at this point they've put the most strained parts of their relationship fully behind behind them. Ezra's experiences with the dark side, his sort of difficulties with Kanan and that in that student teacher relationship, what Maul was doing to them, like they really they're starting to arrive as the most the most whole, the most the most whole, the most grown versions of themselves that we see in this show. We get I feel like I sense in this that they're kind of both like they're arriving a little bit in a sense. There's some apotheosis, and
Absolutely.
it's a beautiful thing to see, and it's a great way to kind of frame the episode and sort of say what's at stake here.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
more than just the rebellion
Yeah.
for these guys.
Yeah, yeah, and to add on to that again, we wrap up the personal so we can get to that's what Twin Sons did a lot too, of course, with the other plot lines. But even with this, we wrap up the personal so that we can get the big grand action that means a lot on personal grounds, but won't be as impactful if we leave those arcs that we've been focusing on all season unresolved.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, as soon as they say that, though, the Masasi group comes to Atollon. A little confusing, canon wise, because the Masasi group is referring to the Masasi Temple on Yavin, which we
Yeah,
know is operational right now. Andor season 2 makes it very clear that Yavin has rebels there, and the end of this episode does. So maybe it's just a group from that's probably what it is. It's the alliance is deploying a cell to help with the raid on Lothal. That's probably what it is. Yeah, that makes sense. Never mind. I fixed my own thing. But anyway, Rebel Alliance is Rebel Alliancing. We get Nebulon, beef frigates. We got all of those famous Rebel ships. Just looks great. Like, I love to see the Rebel Alliance coming together and doing the Rebel Alliance things.
absolutely. Yeah, it's another one of those moments like, oh man, the Nebula Vs are here, the GR-75s are here, kind of like Secret Cargo, where you're just like, oh shit, it's really
It's,
happening.
it's getting real.
It's really
It's getting,
happening. Yeah,
it's getting real.
it's amazing. I love it. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, but we go back to Lothal. Thrawn makes a dramatic ass Batman style entrance to one up Kallus while he's delivering the message. It's really
Amazing.
fucking petty, and I really appreciate it. This is the guy who he knows has been sabotaging his efforts for some time. He's already had to deal with saboteurs like Night Swan in the books, not to mention that impending Grisk threat to his own people. Like, I imagine Thrawn's getting kind of sick of people like Kallus constantly fucking up his shit.
Yeah. I mean, he shows more emotion than he basically ever has
Yeah,
in the
I
show.
think
He's
yeah,
really like,
I
"You motherfucker, like, you
yeah.
fucked me up for this one," you know?
You betrayed me and so effectively that I had to really root it out this time. Like, I had to try, but yeah, it's a great like and you get the fist fight afterwards, and it's so messy and rough. You can feel every punch thrown, every like slam.
Yeah.
Like, it's
It's
dramatic
like
as hell.
yeah. It really is like 2 dudes who, like, genuinely hate each other just going at it.
It's the yeah, there's a yeah,
You can feel it.
there's a righteous fury from each of them, just like going at each other. And then of course we get our final chronologue. Oh, I think that's better than Thronalysis. Thronologue. Yeah, yeah, I found it. Thronologue. We get our final Thronologue for this season. You may have transmitted your warning, Agent, but in doing so, you've given me the last piece of the puzzle. Now, this is the trajectory of General Dodonna's fleet, and this is the trajectory of your fulcrum transmission. Taken separately, they mean nothing, but together, nothing. There's no planet there. The rebels are smarter than you give them credit for. A pity you did not study art, Agent Kallus. There is much it can show you if you know where to look. Such as a system which does not appear on imperial charts but is represented in the art of the ancient people of this sector. I believe they call this Atollon, now the home of your rebel base. Admiral Konstantine, deploy the fleet to these coordinates. We will join you shortly. We don't get explicit confirmation of Thrawn knowing that Atollon was deleted from the imperial charts by Kallus, but also, come on, that guy knew. Like,
Yeah.
based on that look he gives in Through Imperial Eyes, that motherfucker knew.
Yeah.
You returning, I love this, is in this little monologue is the hallmark of the Grand Admirals. Taken separately, they may seem unrelated, but put together, they reveal a larger picture. To which I clapped like a barking seal because I am nothing if not
Mm.
predictable. And then, of course, Thrawn closes the difference of what he didn't know with what else but art. Using the power of ancient art, Thrawn was able to pull a planet seemingly out of thin air and find the rebel base as he did it. Game, set, match.
That it was I gotta say, like, this is one of the most amazing scenes in possibly all of Star Wars, certainly in Rebels. the visuals, standing amidst these shimmering constellations, Kallus looking up, seeing the dawning horror on his face, the way he puts it all together. It's so cool. It is so unbelievably cool, and it's kind of peak Thrawn.
It is. It's completely peak Thrawn. It's a really well done Thrawnologue. I'm using that forever. I whoops-a-daisied myself into discovering that. That's great. Yeah. The next note I have just after this just says the rebels are so fucked, which I think is just like a great summary for the first part of this episode.
It's just one oh shit after another.
Yeah. I don't know if you noticed this, but the Phoenix Fleet is as the Imperial ships invade, Phoenix Fleet sets formation Auric 1. You know what reference I'm about to make here.
Possibly? Sure.
Let's hear it. I'm not going to do the reference, but we're going to do this.
Vomit burned the back of my throat, but at least Galileo did something. He wasn't some dopey Venusian catapulted onto this planet just to have the world fawn over him, because his strength illuminates how weak we all really are. So my envy is a calling. It is the sole hope for humanity, because it is what has driven me to annihilating you. What a! What a! What a! What a!
He said formation. What a! What a! What a! What a! Every time I hear anything like associated with 1A, or A1, I will always think of that. Thank you, Nicholas Hoult and James Gunn. Which leads me to believe that in a galaxy full of Imperial darkness, maybe the kindness of the rebels is the real punk rock. Yeah, but anyway, every time, what a! What a! What a! So good. Yeah, the fleet coming out of hyperspace and then followed very shortly by the Chimera is so haunting. It's not haunting, it's dreadful. And what I mean is it like literally fills you with dread. It's like and Thrawn smarter than most Imperials, but at heart he is a dramatic bitch. He is, because the Chimera didn't have to appear after everything else.
Yeah.
It did not have to it didn't have to appear behind the rest of the fleet. It just chose to.
Yeah.
You cannot
Well, I mean,
convince me that he
Thrawn
didn't
did say
choose to.
Thrawn did say we'll join you. Go ahead. I'm not
Sure, but
unsure entirely why.
yeah. But anyway, yeah. General Dodonna, Commander Sato, Captain Syndulla. At last we meet in this theater of war, however briefly. There is no escape, and your forces are badly outnumbered. This rebellion ends today. Yeah. Again, he's incredibly cocky at this point. Even when he's not trying to seem like it. He's just stating the facts against the rebels, and he believes that the facts, how do I say this, don't care about their feelings. We'll see how the rebels counter that. But quickly before I throw it over to you, there's also this quote: I want you to know failure, utter defeat, and that it is I who delivers it crashing down upon you. Which, and Thrawn's second Batman-esque behavior, pulling a little Dark Knight Returns on the rebels by ordering them to remember the one man who beat them, as Batman does in that comic. But yeah, no, I get it. He's been patient enough, biding his time throughout the entire season. For him, this ends fucking now.
Yeah. It feels a little Thanos-y too.
I am inevitable,
like a little bit of that. Like, what's that? In time, you will know what it's like to lose, to feel so desperately that you are right, yet to fail all the same. I think it's in the end game, or not the end game. It's in the Infinity War trailer. One of my favorite lines. Kind of reminds me of that. Is saying I'm gonna be, and it's like at this point, sure, fine, talk your shit, Thrawn. It's not like he hasn't earned it. Let's be
He's
honest.
totally
you
earned
know?
it, but like it's
But
just
he
it's
he kind of unearns it by. I mean, he doesn't even really do anything wrong. He just fails to sort of consider some of the
the
possibilities, I would say.
we'll talk about Thrawn's shortcomings. The biggest thing, the biggest two things he fails at in this episode, in my opinion, are A, something he cannot predict, and B, personnel management, which has never really been his strong suit.
Yeah, the politics, the
Yeah.
infighting.
Yeah, because here's the thing. He can get people to respect. He can get normal people to respect him. We see this in the books. We see this in Ahsoka and all that kind of stuff. But when there are people of like comparable rank with him, not even the same rank, but comparable rank, who see personal glory, he doesn't really know how to handle people seeking personal glory. It's never been about personal glory for him, mostly. It's about victory above all else.
Yeah.
And when faced with those who seek personal glory, he has no fucking clue how to handle it. It's actually going back to the very beginning of the season. The Empire promoted me after my victory at Bataan. Civilian casualties outnumbered the insurgents at the time, and then that's what Konstantine says. And then Price goes in acceptable margins considering blah blah blah. And of course, we know that it's Price who caused that. Thrawn was
Really?
handling that. Yeah, it's from the Thrawn book.
Right.
We know that Thrawn could have handled the Baton insurgency cleaner than Price could have, but it's because Price had to evacuate her own parents and just kind of got. Price's methods are always sloppier than Thrawn's are. We'll see that later in this episode. But again, so because Thrawn didn't know how to manage Price and her own ambitions, that's why this happened at Baton, and that's why it happened, and that's why some things happened here as well with Price and Konstantine. I'm curious to see Thrawn's the thing he couldn't anticipate, and the thing he failed to anticipate in season 3 and season 4, which we'll talk about later in the episode. He seems to be compensating for in Ahsoka. I wonder if personnel management, and I actually suspect personnel management, is still going to be his Achilles heel coming into like
It could be,
whatever
yeah, we'll see.
the larger conflict in live action. Just a hunch, just because of a whole bunch of things. But yeah. Kanan resolves to, instead of going with Ezra to seek help, he decides to visit an old friend. Hera asks, "Who are you talking about?" Kanan tells her, "You wouldn't believe me if I told you." And I agree with him, because what? If Kanan tells her about this giant beast guy who's more powerful in the Force than anyone he's ever met, who just chooses to randomly chill in a canyon on Atollon, what? That's going to make sense to her?
Yeah,
It's real.
genuinely
It's real,
will
but
just
yeah,
take
no
too
rational
long.
person in the galaxy who doesn't have the Force, and even many who do, would believe in something as batshit as that.
Yeah, there's an element of it's not worth the time it would take to explain.
Yeah.
There's also an element of if I told you, you wouldn't like it.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I just watched Force Awakens for its 10th anniversary
Oh, nice.
this past week. God, the movie still
Oh, wow, that was
slaps.
like 3 days ago, right? Wow.
Yep, it was. It was.
Man, time flies.
As time flies. But yeah, we get more evacuation music from Williams that the Kinders interpolate into their score of one of our first full-scale battles between the Rebels and the Empire in this show. Not like a small skirmish or like the Rebels being chased by an overwhelming force. No, this is like a battle. I mean, the Rebels are outnumbered, but like they have a fighting force. It's not just one or two ships, if you know what I mean. And it's exciting. It's exciting. It's fast-paced. It's intense. Obviously, the Rebels are fighting at such a disadvantage because they were effectively ambushed, but it's still exciting to watch.
Absolutely, yeah.
Thrawn notes that Sato is employing a Danan tactic, which I want to look up from the Wikipedia page. The name Danon Tactics was provided in the accompanying episode guide and is in reference to the Danons, a name for the ancient Greeks in both the Iliad and the Odyssey. I love that in providing names of battle tactics, the writers of this episode went back to some of our world's foremost inventors of battle tactics, the ancient Greeks and Romans, which I think is very cool. Yeah. Do you have anything to say about the opening salvos of the battle?
No, I think you said it. Yeah, it's tightly woven together. It's very exciting.
Yeah, it is. All right. Yeah. Next to my notes, I have stuff that we've already started to talk about Thrawn's personnel management issues. Yeah, I said personnel management has never been a particularly strong suit for Thrawn, mostly because he has held fast to such a formalized military structure. But I could see how, to the uninitiated like Konstantine, Thrawn's constant reinforcement of his own superiority in battle could become grating after a bit of time.
I feel like it's.
Like-
I kind of. Sorry, continue. I have thoughts when you're finished.
No, go right ahead.
I kind of disagree. I think it's completely Constantine's fault. I think it's normal to follow the orders of your superior officer. Certainly not without question.
Yeah,
And
I'm
if
not
you think
saying
they're
it's
out of whack.
Thrawn's
But
fault.
with that being said, like it's
I'm not saying
completely
Thrawn's
like Constantine is completely like he is a conniving kind of egomaniac.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's Thrawn's
I
fault.
don't blame
What
Thrawn
I
at
am
all for this
saying-
one. Actually, maybe
what
a
I
little
am
bit. You
saying-
should have known it was coming, to be honest. But
Yeah, that's
about all I can
agree
say.
with you on that. I'm not saying it's Thrawn's fault. I'm saying that Thrawn is a military man, first, foremost, and only. And on that, he is very unlike most high-ranking Imperial officers. Constantine is much more like most other Imperial officers. He's a military man, but he's also a politician. And I don't mean a politician like he's in the system of politics. I mean a politician like he is playing the political game in the upper stratospheres of imperial hierarchies. Thrawn doesn't and really has never gotten that. So his constant reinforcements of his own superiority to him are just he's the superior warrior. He's he knows strategy like nobody else does, really. And so why wouldn't everybody just go with him doing what he says, plus the formalized military structure? But Constantine comes from a system that is forged by backstabbing and politics and all of these like social arrangements, basically. And yeah, it follows a formalized military structure, as in the stormtroopers never question orders. But he's not a stormtrooper. He's an admiral. He has some status, and it is very like an Imperial officer of his stature to be like, okay, I have some status. Let's see how far I can push this thing. Let's see how much I can take out my own control issues on the folks I do have control over. So Constantine becoming annoyed at Thrawn, I'm not saying it's Thrawn's fault. It's not Thrawn's fault. I'm saying I can totally see where it's coming from. And I can totally see how, from Constantine's position, his dumbass, fascist, bully-esque position, it can be like, who's this fucking blue guy who's telling me what to do? Where did he fucking come from? I earned my way up here. He didn't, but he thinks he did. And this guy just swoops in and tells me not to attack the rebels when they're clearly vulnerable to our attack. But of course, that line of thinking is why people like Constantine constantly fucking lose against the rebels. Yeah, I don't think you're wrong. I just there's a little bit more to it, in my opinion. But no, Constantine's a fucking idiot, and he deserves everything he got in this episode. I strongly believe that. Yeah, on the ground, Kanan goes to the Bendu, and it goes very much not like he wants it to. You have brought war to my quiet world, Kanan Jarrus, Jedi Knight, and I will have no part of it. I love that we all so desperately, alongside Kanan, of course, wanted Bendu to help vanquish the Imperials, but the Bendu is more worried about the war disturbing his peace and getting both the rebels and Empire to leave him the fuck alone. It's an exceptionally in-character response from one of my favorite characters this season. He does not care.
Yeah.
He just wants to be left alone. He elaborates, I am the one in the middle. I take no side. So you're just gonna let us die? You think the Empire won't kill you too? I am beyond your worrying and wards. I am unseen, a noble, like a rock in the river. Do you think it chanced the world was so difficult for you to find, eh? No, but maybe we were meant to find it and meant to find you. For what purpose? I was here long before you and will be long after. I am the Bendu, the one in the middle. So you keep saying, look, I tried to live that way once. Told myself the galaxy would go on with or without me. But when I saw innocents harmed and knew I had the power to do something about it, I couldn't just watch it all burn down around me. Some things are worth fighting for. What a beautiful conversation. I think
Absolutely.
the bending is a little bit annoying to me thematically because we so badly want the point behind what Kanan's saying is sooner or later the Empire will impact you too, and you have the power to do something, so fucking do it. But the fact of the matter is that the Empire won't impact the Bendu because the Bendu is not a sentient being, but like a force. However, I do like the Bendu as a sounding board for Kanan, getting him to realize, as Ezra will realize in the next episode, that sometimes the only people who are going to be able to save you is yourselves. You have to find the power, courage, and resourcefulness to win the fights that need winning. I'm also glad that it gave Kanan the moment to actualize what he has learned since Order 66, that whoever you are, if you have power, you must stand up and fight fascism. Anyway, Bendu don't give a shit, so he can kick rocks for that. Still love the character, though.
Yeah.
Such is the way of things.
Well, I think what's interesting is that they're both right. Like from Kanan's perspective, yeah, the Bendu is sitting out. Maybe he should understand what the Empire truly represents and what their end game is. With that being said, like from the Bendu's perspective, like yeah, like he's an unknowable force god or something. You know what I mean? Like he really doesn't care that much. Like for him, like it's gonna be fine. We don't know what his goals, motive, like all that. It's interesting. But it is
He's
kind of
just
chilly when he says like maybe it is the will of the force for the Jedi to die. Like he really is a force relativist to the core.
I mean, he is the one in the middle. He's been saying that
Yeah.
all along. The thing is that I think Kanan kind of forgot that because he'd come to him for counsel and stuff like that. But that's all Bendu really has been in this episode, in this season, mind you. Is a sounding board. You come to bounce things off of him. He never actually really did anything until this episode, like physically. He kept the holocron for Kanan so it wouldn't fall into the wrong hands. That's literally all he's done this entire season, other than talking to people.
Yeah.
He is, and I mean this as a compliment because I usually say this and I mean it as an insult, but he is just kind of there.
Yeah.
And it's such an interesting role to play because, yeah, of course he's a mentor for Kanan, but of sorts in regaining his sight after losing his literal eyesight. But he's also like, again, he stated very clearly he's the one in the middle the first time we saw him. We should not have expected anything of the sort from him, even if we were hoping.
Yeah, I think like you said, I think Kanan kind of forgot that a little and thought that maybe the Bendy would be more willing to jump into the sort of worldly concerns of all the little people who kind of come and go, and it's just a blink of an eye for the Bendy.
Yeah, absolutely. The stuff with the Bendu in this episode, I think, is honestly like after this, I just find so funny. Like he is so desperate to just be left the fuck alone for his like little beauty rest or whatever we want to call it. Like that he will like burn things down and strike things with fucking lightning just to be left the hell alone.
Yeah,
it's like genuinely kind of funny to me. Yeah, yeah. But the next portion of this episode is just rebel ships just being torn apart by Imperial forces.
Yeah, this
Just
part is the grisly for sure.
yeah, it's horrifying. Hammerhead, many ships, many starfighters is what I'm trying to say. Other cruisers, Nebulon Bs, like it's just gruesome. The rebels are losing a ton of folks, and it can't be easy as much as fledgling as they were beforehand. It's just horrifying to watch. But yeah, then the moment comes. Actually, before we proceed on, do you have anything to say before we get to the moment of this episode, which I thought was in part 2, but apparently isn't this?
Gosh, no, the space battle is just incredible. The visuals, the music, the desperation. It feels like we're on the knife's edge of this being turned from really bad into utter tragedy. And it really the sort of the mixed in with the obviously the desperation and the concentration and all the operational awareness of the rebels being all right, focus, how do we get out of this situation? There's still palpable sort of the heartbreak each and every time another rebel ship gets blown apart and more of the rebels die. It's really well done. But
It
let's get to
is.
the moment. Lead us into this one, Eli.
I will not be denied the glory of this kill. Sato is planting the bait, and despite explicit warning to stay where he was, he cannot resist taking it. And Konstantine thinks he's so smart, but he's playing right into Jun Sato's hands. And thus, he dies, and Jun Sato along with him, making a noble sacrifice to allow Ezra to escape and get help for the rest of the rebellion. R.I.P. to a real one in Commander Jun Sato. I remember how truly impactful this moment was when I first saw this episode, and it hits just as hard now. Yeah, no, it's a like he's a responsible captain, or commander, but I'm saying captain because of specifically of Phoenix Nest. He gets everybody off the carrier except for the few that wish to stay and go down with the ship, and he rams that motherfucker into that interdictor cruiser. And the most glorious part, honestly, is Konstantine's face when he realizes what's about to happen, but he can't pull away.
Yeah, it's too late. He played
It's
his
too
hand. He
late.
went for the kill. He went for the
Yeah.
glory. He would
Yeah.
not be denied the glory of the kill, and he would not be denied the consequences.
Yeah. And again, I remember when I first watched the episode, I'm like, oh, Thrawn couldn't have like oh, this was a grave oversight by the Imperials in the battle, but it was Konstantine's fault, not Thrawn's. And while yes, Konstantine was being a fucking idiot, and again, as we discussed earlier, Thrawn should have seen Konstantine wanting to be a fucking idiot coming and tried to deal with that beforehand. But this is Konstantine making the last mistake he'll ever make, which cost him his life and the life of probably thousands of Imperials along with him. And Jun Sato, as is the Rebel way, it's those two troopers and then probably like a skeleton crew who probably all needed to remain on. I don't think there were a lot of deaths on the Rebel side.
Yeah, no, it sounded like just those three. That's what it seemed
Yeah.
like.
Yeah, I mean, maybe there were more, but probably not many. But I'm just realizing that now, like that's a Rebel versus Imperial philosophy sort of thing right there, because the Empire is so willing to expend lives to accomplish its goals, and the Rebels won't unless they absolutely have to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then we get some wrap ups for this first part of the episode, which I always fucking hate that these episodes are split up into 2 parts. Just put them together, do a 40-minute episode. But anyway, where the Bendu says, "I will not be called a coward by the likes of you, Kanan Jarrus," which is funny because that's exactly what he's being, and no matter what level of being, that's what he's doing. But yeah, and then as one figure with power refuses to do something, we get another figure of power also refusing to do something, with Mon Mothma refusing to help Ezra because the rebels are still building up. Senator Organa was right, she says. it was too soon for open warfare against the Empire, which I think is fascinating. A fascinating line, especially in the wake of Andor, where we see her, which is so much a series about her mustering up the courage to do just that, and it's never really just because of how the series is structured, never really explored once she builds the rebellion, like if she has regrets about that whole thing. But the fact that it is slipped in here is fascinating. But I disagree with her, even if I understand the strategic relevance of what she's saying. As Dr. Martin Luther King once said, the time is always right to do what is right. And yeah, it's a real shame that the Rebel Alliance couldn't come in and help. There's part of me that I'm just thinking about this now that wonders, because as we now know, Rebels had half the budget, roughly speaking, that TCW did, if this was a budgetary decision as much of a story decision. Because if the Rebels chose to send in help, it would have meant more ships. But I also think it makes sense for the story. I'm wondering what you think about all of the stuff with Ezra's quick conversation with Senator Mothma.
I think we're seeing Mothma this. Her mindset is the mindset of herself and Luthen and Andor, for instance. That is where she is working from. Not really open confrontation yet. Preserve your assets, hide your hand, live to fight another day. You're one breath, one wrong move away from getting completely crushed. And
Yeah.
her mind, yeah, it's exactly like you said. You hit the nail on the head. Like she has to assume, she has to be a realist. She has to be hopeful, but she can't be too optimistic.
Delusional.
She has to assume that that part of the fleet is as good as gone already.
Yeah.
Because logically,
Just
it
like
is. If you look at that
like
situation,
in
you look at the odds, like,
just
yeah,
like
that's
in Alexander Freed's short story, and from a certain point of view, New Hope, just to butt in for a second,
exactly, yeah, it's the same
she has to
mentality.
assume that the rebel base on Yavin is gone.
Yeah, it's the survival mentality, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's why she says no, and then
Yeah.
obviously it ends up
Yeah.
working out.
But I also think,
But,
and
fundamentally, it's kind of terrible.
yeah.
It's kind of terrible, but it is what the rebels have to do to survive.
But it's also there's this line that people like Mon have to walk, and God knows Luthen walks it, but Mon does too, especially now as the rebellion becomes less of Luthen's project and more of Mon's project, which is happening around this period.
Yeah.
Which is, how much do you balance the survival mentality with cowering to fear? Because one can become the other incredibly quickly. It's a slippery slope.
Yeah. Well, I think there are instances where Mon toes that line.
Yeah, and I think this is one of them.
This is not one of them, in my opinion. I think that's where we disagree. Because I think from like hindsight, from the Rebels viewer, the audience perspective of like, these are the guys who, as Sabine says, make the impossible possible. This is Ezra and
Well, it's not just
Kanan,
Ezra. It's
Hera,
not just
you know.
Ezra and Kanan and Hera. It's also the Masasi group. That's an entire cell. That's 2 cells
Yeah.
worth of valuable ships and cargo that they're losing. We're really going to give up 2
Yeah.
entire cells just like that?
Well, I mean, it's like it's that her logic is exactly that, though. Her logic is that Thrawn has played us so hard. Thrawn has played them so hard already, holding all the cards, having everything he needs in his hands for a complete, like, military domination. He could choose to not leave a single rebel alive if he wanted to, and he could succeed in that objective.
Yeah.
What's there
Yeah.
from her perspective of having to look at the whole picture? What's there
Yeah.
to stop her? What's there to make her not think, if we send in more people, we're gonna get the same result? At this point, she knows how dangerous Thrawn is. She knows the forces that he has at his
I'll tell you
disposal.
what. I'll tell you what would possibly keep her from that. And this is where I think the fear comes in. Thrawn, as much as we love to hype him up on this show, because he's one of my favorite Star Wars characters of all time, is a person. He is dangerous. He is incredibly tactically minded. He's dangerous. Don't get me wrong about that. He also, as we will see in this episode, can make mistakes, is not invincible. And I think some of the Rebels' problems sometimes, and this is very rare, but I think this is actually one of the examples of this, is when they let the Tarkin talks in season 1 of Rebels about quashing the Jedi before they become the symbol again. And that symbols inspiring hope on the light side are extraordinarily dangerous to the Empire. Symbols like Ezra Bridger and Luke Skywalker and Leia Organa, all that kind of stuff, so dangerous to the Empire, more than most bombs. But the dark side, although not as effectively, I would argue, but still, has symbols as well. Tarkin's one. Vader is absolutely one. And I'd argue that I'm not sure how much Thrawn is one, at least outside of the Imperial apparatus, but by the fear and doubt that has been spread by Thrawn's, again, terrifying assaults in the season, the Rebels have allowed Thrawn to become one within their ranks. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't be afraid of Thrawn. I'm saying that they should always be careful of over mythologizing him. And I think that there is a danger of doing that. I'm not saying that Mon Mothma should have gone in gung ho against Thrawn. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that the immediate no, with like very little like, yep, I'm sorry, we're gonna do what we can for the hostages, basically, for the prisoners, but yeah, you're done, is too quick of a judgment.
What would
But that's
you
just me.
have had her do you think?
I think maybe I think maybe do what the Sabine and the Countess ended up doing. Send a small amount of forces and see what happens. And like formulate a plan along with Ezra to I would have basically done what Ezra instead did with the Countess Ursa and Sabine. But that's just me. I'm not a military strategist. I just love watching this show.
Yeah. Well, me too. In any case,
And
Ezra gets out and he says, "You know what? We do have one person. We have Sabine." And
we have Sabine.
where
She's
it ends
coming
up.
back,
That is
everyone.
where it ends up heading. What was it? Four episodes that she was gone in total? 4 episodes of
Imperialized
no
secret
Sabine, and
cargo.
now we've got her back.
Yeah, well, 5 if we want to count part 1 of 0 Hour. But
Oh,
yeah,
sure,
4.
yeah. But yeah, 5 episodes, sure.
But still, yeah, not gone for long. What, you thought we were gonna leave this show without getting Sabine back? You're damn wrong. Yeah. That's where we end this first part of the episode. But I say we go straight into part 2. Yeah. I'll just say this. I love how much Sato, before his death, and now Dodonna, trusts Hera to be a battlefield commander and strategist. It wasn't so long ago that she was just the captain of one freighter with a crew of 6. Her evolution from captain to being in a place where she will be called general by the time we get to Rogue One is an incredibly underrated arc in this show.
Yeah, she really becomes one of the greats. Absolutely.
Yeah. Kanan gets knocked off his speeder bike by the fire, and I love that Hera is professionally worried about Kanan as a Jedi asset, but also makes time to be personally worried about Kanan because she loves him and all that. Yeah, the episode opens with the infamous sequence of this episode, which I adore. Very good. Let's test their metal. Under a lesser commander, this would truly be playing with their food unnecessarily. But Thrawn genuinely wants to test the strength of their shield and other assets. It's calculating and also terrifying, set to Thrawn's theme, as we see laser fire rain down on the dusky skies of Atollon. The shot of Hera looking up at the turbo laser fire impacting the shield at Atollon was a trailer shot, either season or mid-season. I forget which one, I think mid-season. It's still iconic to me, even now. We get the funny bit of banter. I'm getting the feeling Thrawn's actually trying to kill us this time. Oh, that is only funny because you're still alive.
What a moment.
It's a horrifying start to this episode. Thrawn means business. He's acting on it. We then cut to Ezra approaching Cronest, where he makes an admittedly ridiculous plea to Sabine's forces. Again, I'm not saying that Ezra is wrong or anything like that. No, not at all. I'm saying that Sabine and her Mandalorian forces have an exceptionally valid reason not to want to reinforce the rebels. In fact, if you would ask me, I think the Mandalorians are even more ill-equipped to help the rebels than the Alliance is right now.
Yeah, arguably they're. I mean, like Ursa said, for better or for worse, they've
just
they've got
sheer
their own
numbers
shit
wise.
going on. Yeah,
Sheer numbers on like equipment and personnel and all that kind of stuff. They don't have the resources even more than the Alliance to help the rebels. Yet they still do it, and that's because Ursa Wren is a fucking queen. Yeah, but the impassioned plea about the rebels being the ones to reunite the Wren family that Sabine makes ultimately convinces me as well as the Wrens. This is, as Kanan told the Bendu in the first part of this episode, a fight worth fighting. Yeah, there's that line from Sabine at the very end, which is, "One thing I know is that my friends make the impossible possible." I believe this line was in the mid-season trailer, and what a smashing line it is.
yeah,
Its crew,
absolutely.
it's true. The Ghost crew are some of the craziest fuckers this side of the Hydian Way, but they have this adorable found family dynamic, so we tend to overlook that fact. Like, these guys are fucking crazy, and I mean that in the best way, but like, they do shit nobody else does. They saw one of their own captured on an Imperial Star Destroyer orbiting Mustafar and said, "Bet, let's go."
Yeah,
Like, even other rebel
pretty
cells,
great,
like,
pretty
are like, "What the
fantastic.
hell are you doing?" Yeah. Have anything for the beginning of this episode with Ezra's plea to Sabine and the beginning of the ground assault?
Not really. Ground assault, man. The drum beat of the AT-ATs. That's what sticks in my mind. I mean, oh my gosh. After all
Yeah.
that, with the orbital bombardment, like the force of nature, like thunder sound effects, Kanan barely making it back, and now they have to. Oh my gosh. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's too much, man. It's too much. I mean, that one shot of the GR-75 taking off and they shoot it down, it's flaming, plunging towards the surface right in front of the running rebels. I mean, this is just pure cinema.
Yeah, the battle
Absolute
sequences of this
battle.
episode, I don't have a lot of notes for them. They're great. They just look awesome. They're well paced. They're well executed. To me, it's all about the emotional beats of this. But I will just say the smoky, dusty, grim nighttime Atollon is such a metal and haunting aesthetic for this.
Oh yeah.
For this part. Like, it's so great. Thrawn's wearing the bucket. Like, come on, so cool. Yeah, and then Kanan sees the storm raging in the sky, and then he realizes, oh shit, we're all in fucking trouble. Yeah, I forgot another note. I forgot Fen Rao joined the Mandalorians in this episode. I forgot that he was there for this. Which, like, what a G, what a guy. Yeah. Anything to say about like the battle before we get to when the imps surround what remains of the rebels?
No, let's go. I mean, it kind of sneaks up on you.
It does.
Like you
And
remember it
now
happens, but
Captain
it's
Sid,
sort
yeah.
of it's a very cool way that they portray it. It feels very kind of raw and real in the sense of like all of a sudden it's like, oh man, they're here. Oh my gosh. I love that.
And now, Captain Cinderella, I will accept your formal surrender, or you will watch your friends perish one by one, beginning with the Jedi. For a live look at Thrawn's mood after this, I give you this clip.
I'm out.
Let me be clear. Yeah, that's the biggest mic drop moment of all fucking time. Like, come on. Like, like if Thrawn just turned around to the other troops behind him and you just said, "Did you fucking see that? Did you see that shit?" Like,
Yeah.
I would not have blamed him in the slightest. It's just, yeah. Again, he's earned it. The build up to all of this, he earned the payoff of, I'm now gonna accept surrenders after saying I'm not accepting surrenders this time. Once he has them literally on the ropes, like, come on, so great. Yeah, Jacob, I have 3 words for you. Stop.
What are those?
Bendu time.
It is definitely Bendu time.
It's so fucking Bendu time. This guy just starts lightning. It's not force lightning, just lightning. Just fucking lightning out of the sky and shit. Just starts burning stuff down. Thrawn's no idea what the hell's going on. What Jedi devilry is this, as he says. Of course, here we reveal one of Thrawn's glaring weaknesses. He fundamentally does not understand the Force. It's difficult because, as Ahsoka told us last season, no being truly understands the Force. But he has far less knowledge of it than he does in all other tactical areas. It gets him here. It'll get him in the finale of next season. He seems to be finally learning about it more in Ahsoka, but who knows how much he truly knows, and who knows how effective whatever knowledge he does have will be. Yeah. Meanwhile, the Bendu is just raining down fire. He says, "I am the Bendu. I bring death." Which is just, again, everything of the Bendu just going complete apeshit at the end of this episode is hilarious to me. It's just really funny that this guy wants so badly to be left alone that he will burn down starfighters just to get people to fucking leave.
Yeah. I mean, he even said, you think this planet being hard to find was a mistake?
Yeah.
Like, he did everything he could.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I do want to just mention we have the space assault, which I don't have a lot to say about it other than it's really cool. It's such a season finale image, a move I said in my notes, which is compliment from me. Like, it's such epic imagery of Sabine and Ezra attacking imps in space. Like, it's really cool. It's just really cool. It's something we don't get to see a lot in Star Wars. Is like spacewalking, but whenever we see it, it feels special.
Yeah, to do the landing on the outside of the ship too. So I love that moment.
It's just badass.
I also love Sabine going, "You don't need a jetpack. You have those little thrusters."
Yeah,
I love that.
Ezra just constantly has rocket envy, and I don't blame him. But yeah, back on the surface, leave this place. I am the light. I am the dark. I am the Bendu. I love how, in a very much like Baby's First Media Analysis way, when Bendu says the light, it flashes to Kanan, and when he says the dark, it flashes to Thrawn. As I said earlier, because he's been helping Kanan so much this season, it's easy to forget that he sides with neither the Rebels nor the Empire, only himself, only the Bendu. My note after what I just said literally just says, "Damn, I hope we see more of the Bendu, whatever the hell he is." Also, I want to give a shout out quickly to that one Death Trooper having absolutely zero idea what the fuck is going on. So they decide, I don't know, shoot the cloud. Is also extremely funny. Do you have anything before we get into the final bits of this episode?
Gosh, before we reach the grand conclusion. No, let's talk through it. It just gets crazier and crazier. It just gets crazier and crazier.
Price blows it. I forgot to say, in personnel management, it's not just Constantine. Leaving Price with the fleet, even though I know he thinks he's achieved full victory there, is stupid because Price just absolutely blows it as a battlefield. Price is terrible as a battlefield commander. She's a political figure, and she's not good at battlefield stuff. We saw this with Baton. We see it here. We'll see it in other places in the show. Price just doesn't really get it on the battlefield. It's not her strength. She is a political figure. She is the governor of Lothal. Like, she's not supposed to be a military commander.
Yeah. I mean, we see how quickly she's clearly not comfortable in that situation. Like, as soon as Thrawn is gone, that might have been Thrawn's mistake, honestly.
Yeah.
Was going down to this kind of his own rule. He broke his own rule by leaving the perimeter to go in.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. But yeah, not only does Price just kind of stand there as the interdictor cruiser gets destroyed, but she also lets Kallus escape. But yeah, if Kallus is a G, finally escapes the Empire in an escape pod after being captured the entire episode. I'm so glad he's finally with the Rebels now. And time to really not see him again much. But yeah, Jacob, I'm going to do it. You cannot see, but I can. What? What do you see? I see your defeat, like many arms surrounding you in a cold embrace. Remember when we were all, like, so transfixed by that line? Remember we were all like, what the fuck does he mean by that?
Yeah.
And
it was a little more literal than we thought at the time.
Or is it? Of course this gets fulfilled in season 4, but you know what I'd love? I'd love if Dave remembers that and somehow executes it for his New Republic movie that'll probably involve Thrawn getting defeated. It'll be a different many arms for that. Dave, you're not listening to this. But, like, that'd be really fucking cool, man. Still, again, regardless, still cool, cryptic, prophetic moment for the Bendu, which also happens to be the final time we see the character in the show.
True, yeah.
Yeah. And now Thrawn sees he has shot the ground where the Bendu was as his specter laughs in the heavens above. For one of the first times in his life, I imagine at least, Thrawn has absolutely no idea what the fuck just happened. Which is honestly, it's stunning to see Thrawn's dumbfounded. But it's extraordinarily effective. But yeah, the Rebels escape all right. AP5 gives us a great little tease when he says, I would suggest a second hyperspace jump before heading to Yavin. Which is a great tease for season 4. Only wish we actually saw the Jungle Moon more in this show, but that's fine. And then Kanan reassures Ezra at the end, I understand you feel defeated, but I've learned to see things differently. There's a future for us, one where we're all free, but it's up to us to make it happen. What a beautiful final remark that sets us up so well for the final season of the show. The Rebels are starting to get all the tools they need to free the galaxy from Imperial oppression. The only thing they need to do now is make it happen. With enough grit, heart, and focus, the Rebels stand on the verge of freeing the galaxy from the grip of the evil fascist galactic empire. Hell yeah.
Yeah. It's a beautiful... I kind of forgot how devastating this was for the Rebels. Like, they escaped, but it really is the Phoenix... It really is the Empire Strikes Back before the Empire Strikes Back. They escape, but they barely escape. Like, they are on the ragged edge.
They heavy losses, yeah.
Like what Ezra says, like, we lost everything. Like, they really are like, we got no base. We have half as many of our forces. We're lucky to be alive, but again, like, we're just lucky to be alive.
Yeah, absolutely.
I do love that Kallus gets a moment at the very...
Yeah, absolutely. It's great. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought that's one of my only gripes, or one of my biggest gripes with season 4 of Rebels is Kallus really doesn't appear at all. Like I love seeing Rebel Kallus, and he gets a
He gets a few
moment here and
episodes.
there. He gets a
Yeah,
moment here and there, but he doesn't really figure into it. So it is nice, at least right now,
yeah.
to see some.
And to see him happy.
Yeah.
He was never happy under the Empire. To see him happy is nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Jacob, overall thoughts on this finale?
Probably the best episode yet of Rebels, in my opinion.
Can I share my own review? Or
Yeah,
do you have anything more to say?
go for it. Yeah.
All right. I wrote a beautiful, heartbreaking, fist pumping, devastating, and defiant finale of a wonderful season of Star Wars television. Great moments for Hera, Ezra, Sabine, and Kanan specifically as they grapple with what the Imperial invasion of Atollon means for their futures. A meaningful sacrifice by Jun Sato that gives the episode real weight as we then prepare for a rousing save the day moment from Ezra, Sabine, and Fen Rao. Thrawn being an absolute master tactician and strategist and dealing a huge blow to the burgeoning rebels, although still not being able to completely finish the job. A stunning ending for the Bendu as he completely crashes out against both sides and expresses a firm desire just to be left the fuck alone. Love it all. My MVP performances for this finale were Tom Baker, Vanessa Marshall, and Lars Mikkelsen, as they were the ones with some of the most to do, and they handled their breadth of material very well. So there wasn't a bad performance in this episode. A top tier double-length episode of Star Wars Rebels and just of Star Wars TV in general. It's a really fucking solid ending to this great season of Star Wars television. And I'm glad we got to discuss in as much detail as we did today. Anything else, Jacob, or do you want me to wrap this episode up?
No, this was it's amazing. It's beautiful. This is Rebels at its very, very peak, in my opinion. Take it away, Eli.
That's going to be it for this episode of Star Wars Galaxy. Thanks so much for listening. Next week, 194, final episode of Star Wars in a Galaxy in 2025, final episode of season 23, a retrospective episode, which we're about to record just now, but you won't hear for a week. So I guess sucks to be you. I don't know, but you'll hear it in a week. You'll hear it in a week. We'll put it in a week. Either way, you can listen to us everywhere on all platforms. I believe this is the first recording we did since the great title match on Epic Connotations between Alden Diaz and Michael McCoy. So make sure to check that out on the Star Wars and Galaxy YouTube channel. You can follow the show, this show that is, Star Wars and Galaxy, on BlueSky at inagalaxypod.bsky.social and on Instagram just at inagalaxypod. You can follow me everywhere on my link tree, linktr.ee/_OGFan327. If I didn't mention it already, you can listen to the show on all your podcast streaming platforms. And I think if that's it, all there's left to say is, may the Force be with you. Always.